So, hello, folks. Today is May 16th and it is 6 o'clock. And I am calling the Groton Board of Education Committee of the whole meeting to order. The first, just to also, if you guys can help remind me to make sure that when you want to speak that you say your name, because that's actually, Cabe did a nice distribution of like how the remote meetings have been extended to be able to either have remote or hybrid. But there are some rules that we just have to make sure that I follow in a much more complete way, which is we need to announce ourselves when we speak, just so that people can get that identified. And I need to do a roll call. So next week we'll have to remind me about that. Okay.
A roll call as in who's attending, or a roll call?
A roll call as in a vote. So for all those in
Okay.
favor, and then I'm going to say, Liz, how do you vote?
Okay, I wanted clarification.
Nope, that's how I understand it. Much like I think actually the RTM and the town council do it. So we're just kind of going in step with that. So that is just for us to keep me on my toes, please. I would ask for approval of the committee of the whole meeting minutes on May 9th. If you can't tell, I just made it home, and so my cat is very excited to see me. But I will take a motion to accept the committee of the whole meeting minutes of May 9th.
So moved.
All right, can I have a second to that?
Second.
I have that from Matthew.
Matthew, yes.
And any discussion? All right, hearing none, I will, all those in favor of approving the committee of the whole minutes of May 9th. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Oppose? Abstain? Motion has carried. I am putting her down every single time. She's jumping right back up. I'm very sorry. All right. I know that the next thing that we have on our agenda is the CEP discussion. And I see that Ernie has signed on. So Ernie, I'm sorry, we're actually going to try to get you out of the way. So like you don't have to spend 2.5 hours waiting for us to get to your part of the agenda. Susan and Ernie, I don't know how you want to do it, but you were more than welcome to take it away.
Well, I'd just like to say that in the past couple years, through the state funding, we've been able to feed all of our kids. And this year, they're no longer doing that. The bill did not go through. So Ernie has served and done some due diligence in trying to capture our free and reduced numbers and get them authorized by the state, and has found out that, like we had before COVID, the 4 title schools would be able to accept the CEP, which is for the free lunch and breakfast.
What does CEP stand for?
It is Community Eligibility Provision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that would be Groton Middle School, Thames River Magnet, Mystic River Magnet, and Catherine Kolnowski Magnet. So I'm going to let Ernie
Can you name them again, Susan?
Yes, Groton Middle School,
Mm-hmm.
Mystic River Magnet,
Mm-hmm.
Thames River Magnet, and Catherine Kolnowski Magnet.
Okay.
And those
And
are
they're all-
4 Title I schools that have been identified.
Okay, and they're all getting the CEP.
They're all getting the free breakfast and free lunch. Now, in the other schools, we will do our very best to capture SNAP data and free and reduced lunch, because any family that needs to have breakfast and lunch free of charge or reduced, we want to ensure that they get that.
And these are your title, what schools?
Title I.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just a quick recap, like I said, like Susan mentioned, it's very important that we put a plan B in place if the USDA was not able to get passed for school year 22-23, the COVID relief money, which would have allowed us to continue to feed all of our students free breakfast and lunch. Unfortunately, Congress did not act on that, so that provision expired. So luckily, we started the process of CEP, the Community Eligibility Provision, as our Plan B. It did take us approximately 4 months to gather the data with the help of super help of Tom Lonsdale, and with Susan's direction, we were able to take that time and lock down and nail down those 4 schools. The one opportunity that we had, which is important to note, is that CEP, in order to qualify, your schools need to be 50% or more. During the COVID, Congress reduced the threshold to 40%. We had a small window, and that's why Susan wanted us to act as quick as we could to grab the schools that we could. And for those of you that don't know, prior to COVID, we did have Claude Chester, Westside Memorial Middle School used to be, and Catherine Kolnaski. So those were operating as a CEP school, the 3 of them prior to this. And then once the new schools opened up, obviously that got kicked out. So we were able to jump on this 40% threshold and get these 4 schools. 4 out of 7 is pretty darn good. And like indicated, we're going to do the best that we can with the other 3 schools. It does not prevent a family from still putting an application in for free or reduced meals at those other 3 locations. We're going to do a better job this year trying to reach out to every single family, especially our Navy folks, to fill out these applications so that we can get more SNAP qualified, because I can go back in next year and see if we can pick up yet another school to add to our 4, you know, depending on those applications. So it's a really good thing for Groton, and I'm glad that we were able to get that done.
And I also want to get this information to Congressman Courtney. I'll be talking about it at the Military Superintendent Liaison meeting on Friday, that I have always had the feeling that we weren't capturing our whole community. When people are automatically signed up for SNAP because they get Husky insurance, we get a portion of our community, but we do not capture our military community. They are receiving their TRICARE. So it's really important. And there's even provisions in SNAP when a father or mother goes out to sea that they can requalify for some assisted benefits. So I'm going to be working with Miranda and the captain on the base to really make sure that, you know, all of our residents here in Groton really sign up for this SNAP. They make sure they're on the impact aid and they're signing up, and we're working, you know, in my staff to figure out how can we capture all this data kind of in one group so parents don't feel like they're filling out forms all the time. So, and how do we communicate it best that this is really something that's going to provide benefits to their family?
I see that Liz has her hand up.
Yes, Susan, my question is these applications, are they only sent out through the school system?
The SNAP applications actually get filled out when a family gets Husky. So they're automatically part of SNAP if
Okay,
they're
what
getting the
about-
insurance, but not military children.
All right,
Their
so-
TRICARE does not count.
Okay, TRICARE doesn't count. So if we want to get our military, and I'm just, this is just tonight, this is just a thought that I just had. Is it appropriate for us to send those applications home through the sailors, the military personnel through their commands?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'll be talking
Okay.
about on Friday.
Thank
You're
you.
thinking right along the lines as I am. I think the more we can communicate and get that communication out through the command, through the families, the more, and we're going to try to do it online. So those forms should be easier to fill out online. Is that right, Ernie? And am I saying that right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right on. We're going to have an online application that they can do conveniently from their homes.
Okay.
Can can someone go over the chart? I'm assuming that this is connected to you, Ernie.
So this is something Ken had put together. The board had asked, what would it cost us if we wanted to do this for all students? Never mind, not based on the free and reduced lunch. So Ken, would you kind of orient everyone and explain how the chart is set up so they can read through it?
Certainly. And when you say this is something Ken put together, that means Ken called Ernie and Ernie did this.
Well, Ken and Ernie put it together. That's right. We do everything as a team here.
But essentially, with the 4 of the 7 schools being covered, what we asked Ernie to do was, what would be the cost if we had to, or if we were to cover, the remaining costs over and above the free and reduced lunch population. And so this is what Ernie had put together by school, looking at the enrollment, and it came in at just about $1 million.
And just to piggyback on what Ken just said, we wanted to show you the absolute worst case possible of financial, what it would cost. Every single student was in school every day and ate a breakfast and lunch. Realistically, the percentage that we ran over the last 3 years prior to COVID, we were in the 65% to 68% participation. So roughly, if you wanted to say, if you could realistically minus 30% off of that $1 million number, and that would be a closer figure, but we wanted to show you exactly what it would be if Groton committed to feeding every single child breakfast and lunch at those 3 locations, because that question came up.
And does this chart include all the families that would qualify for free and reduced lunch and subtract them from this pool?
It does.
So this is really the people who are more likely to be able to afford breakfast and lunch.
Correct.
Any questions?
Rita?
It's always that last step to unmute. Yes, Ernie, would it be possible? I guess it's very easy, I guess, for these 4 schools if we just provided lunch or just provided breakfast for at least one of, for the 4 schools, so that we knew for sure that even the students who didn't qualify, those 4 schools could still at least receive either breakfast or lunch.
Realistically, your breakfast would probably be the premier one that you guys could focus in on for those 3 schools, and roughly would be $304,000. And again, we could still minus roughly 30% off of that.
Right. So I mean that's a possibility then. That
Certainly
we could, because I think for students to start the day, it's important to have a really good breakfast. Do many of the children at the schools have breakfast? I mean, do they partake in it, or do some of them not want it and have had breakfast at home?
Honestly, breakfast participation is in the 40% range versus lunch, which is roughly about 70%.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So breakfast participation is very low.
So I mean,
general.
my feeling is if I was going to do one or the other, I would rather do lunch and have the most students benefit. But I know it's a greater cost, but if you're saying if it's, maybe 30% less than the 700,000, it would be, maybe around 500,000 it would cost us or so.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah,
That's correct.
thank you.
When would we be gathering this information, Ernie? I know we have new people coming in, and we used to gather that information as they were registering. So I'm hoping we're doing that. And then we want to make sure that we really do a terrific job gathering the data really for all the population, because it's going to help us in the future, but especially for these 3 schools, so we can identify the families that need this.
Right. So we have to wait for the USDA to release the new income guidelines.
Okay.
Indications are telling me it's going to be early to mid-June. Once we get that, We put it on the applications to get printed at a pretty quick turnaround. At which time we would make sure that when folks are registering at central office through Gigi, these forms are available. They also get uploaded on our website, so families can do it right from the convenience of their home. We plan on doing robocalls and email blasts to families, as well as going out with teaming up with Miranda Chapman to get in our Navy housing during the summer months when we're doing our summer meals. To
Perfect.
have some laptops right there to assist people
Great.
right there. We want to capture as many, like I say, we're going to do a blitz like you wanted us to do. Get out, grab every family that we can.
Beverly?
Susan, would any ARPA funding or any other grants cover part of, say, if we wanted to do free lunch for everybody, could we get some ARPA funding or any other free grants cover part of that? Maybe not
have
all,
to-
but maybe part of it.
I'd have to check in the parameters. I'm not as familiar with ARPA, which is coming from the town. I'm more familiar with the ARP ESSER. And I don't recall that that was in ARP ESSER, but I can certainly check, and I can check with John Burt.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I appreciate the rundown, and also just to see, because I know that we oftentimes will get questions about why can't we do the whole town? And so this is kind of helpful for us to be able to say why we're doing, why we have the 4 and not the whole 7. I think that this has been very helpful. Thank you very much, Ernie, for putting your time to that. And also, it sounds like you're really dedicated to see if we can get as many kids as our kids fed, and that whole concept of blitzing and using whatever is at our resources. I really appreciate that a lot. I know the board does.
Thank you.
You got it. You got it. So we're going to move on if there's no further questions for Ernie. Ernie, it was good to see you. Next is the end of the year unexpended funds.
Yeah, I know you have the attachment number 3. I'm going to throw it up on the screen just real quick, just so I can walk you through it. Hopefully you can see that. So as of the last report, we have projected unexpended funds for the year of approximately $147,000. There's been a couple of items that have come up, especially as we've gone through the budgeting process, and there were a couple of CIPs that that didn't get approved. One was the HVAC study, which we had estimated at $50,000. Which we believe we know we can probably fund this through the ARP ESSER funds. We have some funds set aside for HVAC, so we certainly can do a study of the CB and the vintage side of Fitch. And so I put that on this list, but because it's going to get funded by a grant, there's actually no, it wouldn't reduce our projected unexpended funds. One of the other items that was on the CIP was the culinary arts, both the study for $70,000, and then there was a construction that was for a future year. It's been suggested that perhaps we can fund that culinary arts study through our unexpended funds, and so we've put it into this list. There is a trailer for one of the maintenance vehicles that is at end of life that needs to be replaced, approximately $7,500. And then one thing that we always like to do with unexpended funds is put it towards our health insurance reserve, because it can only help us in future years. And so we've allocated, just in this list, $65,000 as an example. So all that together would use up all but $4,600 of the unexpended funds at this point. Let's see. I will say that the unexpended estimate is still an estimate. We're still getting invoices in. We still got things that we're paying for, but it's still, I feel pretty confident that that will be there at the end of the year. But I just want to caution you that it's not guaranteed. But I feel pretty confident that it will be there.
I'm going to call on Beverly first and then Liz Porter.
Ken,
Hmm.
can you explain to me why studies cost so much money? I mean,
I
because
wish
if
I
I
could.
get somebody to come into my house to look at my kitchen because I want to remodel the kitchen, it doesn't cost thousands and thousands of dollars. So can you explain why these studies cost $70,000 and $50,000?
I think I'm going to ask Sam Kilpatrick to answer that question, if he's able to.
Yeah, I'm on here.
Very good.
Can you hear me, Ken?
Yep.
Okay. I'm on my iPad, so I touched the button before and something happened. So these studies actually require an architect, and their fees are close to attorney's fees. And then they also hire consultants in a particular area, maybe electrical, plumbing, safety issues, so on and so forth. So they're all professional fees that add up fairly quickly. So
How long does it take them to do a study? I mean, does it take days? So they get $250 an hour. I'm making it up. But so how many hours does it take them to do these studies? I mean, it seems like
many
a lot
hours,
of
but
money to me.
well, it is a lot of money, but it also includes the plan for doing the project as well. So it's not just a study as to whether it can be done, but it will also include the plan and an estimate of how much it will cost to actually do the project.
Okay, thank you.
Kim, can I go? I just had a quick question, Ken. Would you remind me again, when does the end of our fiscal year? Is it June 30th?
It is June 30th. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. We are July 1 to June 30th year. Yep.
And typically, when can you close the books on this year? Like on a school year? Is it like August, September? When is it typically when we can close those books?
Well, so the process is that in the month of June, next month, we'll stop issuing new purchase orders so that we can get a better idea of what we're going to look at the end of the year. And then we have, there's really 2 months until the end of August before the auditors come in and start looking at the book. So it's kind of that time frame. But a purchase order that's issued before June 30th can take up to a year to finalize.
Thank you, Ken.
Before I go to recognizing Beverly, is there any other board member that would like to speak? If not, Beverly, go ahead.
Can you explain the health insurance reserve? Are you taking money out of the health insurance reserve? I missed that part. I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's not taking out, it's actually putting in. It's taking the excess funds and just adding to the reserve. So, we've talked about the reserve during the budgeting process, and it's really just a fund of money to fund claims as they come in. The higher we have that, the better, just because we'll have more funding to pay any claims. So this would be an add to, and it's really just, it's what was left. There's no magic to the number, really.
Thank you, Ken.
So I guess to follow up from what Beverly just asked, if there is less money or more money came, so you're not sticking to the 65,000. That's just because when you do a study, and that's what's going to be left over from your projected Okay,
Exactly, yes.
okay. I just want to make sure I understood. Okay. Any further questions? All right, let's move on to, so the DoD supplemental impact aid. For those of us who were either present at the RTM meeting or online, there was a large discussion about the DoD supplemental impact aid, and what we could and could not use it for, and what do we use it for. And there was a lot of actually sort of like not correct information that was being disseminated. And so I figured maybe I don't fully understand the DoD supplemental impact aid. And so I was hoping that between Ken and Susan, you guys could kind of give the board like a quick and dirty, not quick and dirty, sorry.
Honest.
An honest discussion about the DoD supplemental impact aid, so that we can also be well informed on that. So that was the premise of why this got added to the agenda.
Do you want me to start, Susan?
Well, I just want to say that since I arrived in 2014 and Dr. Grenier was our superintendent, he saw that there was a really large remaining budget for DoDEA and wanted to make sure that we were spending it appropriately over this $1 million amount. So he really felt that, and I feel the same way, that when we receive the $250,000 to $350,000 each year that goes directly to the school, where impact aid goes directly to the town to afford, our military children and others, we take care of everybody with it. We really wanted to be able to create, and I think this was going on before we got here, a technology plan that would be sustainable. And that's when we started our one-to-one initiative with the Chromebooks. Thank goodness we had done that over the years when we got to COVID-19 and we had to do our rollout. We were, I don't know if you can ever be ready for a pandemic, but we were, I guess, a little better ready to make sure our kids had the learning tools they needed. So there's always been about $1 million in this, reserve piece of DoDEA, but we've been spending down those, yearly funds. And Mike always felt it was good to have that, because should we go down in our numbers and not have that, at least it would be sustainability for our technology plan. So I'm just kind of honestly putting it out there. I tried to explain at the RTM, but Ken, you can take it away with this nice chart that you built.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of, by way of a little bit of background. So we collect the impact aid forms every year, and that's so the Department of Education can send those funds, approximately $4 million annually to the town. Those same impact aid numbers get shared with the Department of Defense. And if our what exactly did he say? If our school district has 19.5% or more military dependent enrollment, then we're eligible for this DoD supplemental. So it's an impact aid, but it's not coming from the same place. It comes from the Department of Defense. And so those funds come in, and we can spend these funds in any way that we see fit. We have put it towards technology primarily. And I was going to share this schedule that I gave to you guys here. Hopefully you can see that. So this is a little bit of history as far as what the fund has been at and what we've used it for. You can see in 19 and 20, we were primarily using it for the Chromebooks that Susan had mentioned. Last year was very impacted by COVID, and so we didn't really spend much at all, to be honest. We only spent $87,000 in FY21. So the balance got to be almost $1.5 million, and then we got a very large amount. Actually, the past 2 years we've got a very large amount. We got $471,000 at the beginning of this year. I did ask if we can calculate what that would be, and they told me that it can't be calculated ahead of time because it's all dependent upon how much funding they receive and how many military dependents are in the entire nation, because then they divide it like that. So there's no guarantee as to how much you're going to get. For FY22, the board did authorize us to use these funds towards software and IT equipment and infrastructure. So the plan this year is to spend, it's almost $600,000. So we're anticipating this fund to be at 1.3 million by the end of the year. There was that report that was circulating at the RTM meeting. That was actually, it's a subtotal on this before any of the expenditures, because actually some of these expenditures haven't happened yet. The IT equipment and staff devices. So the report they were looking at is what the town has on their books at that time, but the actual balance at the end of this year is going to be 1.3 million.
And I have to say that Ken did his due diligence trying to get what their number was to compare to our number. We're constantly sending them our numbers, but we're not always getting back. And so that kind of went out without our knowledge. So unfortunately, we didn't have what they had, and we weren't able to share that there is a difference from what Groton Public Schools has.
Right, and I think you said it there at the meeting, Susan, that it's allocated already. We've already kind of said this is how it's going to get spent, and so I think you did a great job explaining it. I'm not too sure whether they understood, but so for next year, FY23, we're estimating a worst case scenario of around what we got back in 2019. Hopefully we can get a similar amount as we got in this past year, but if we assume we'll get around the $280,000 mark, we would expect the end of next year to be around $982,000. With a similar type of use of the funds, software, staff devices, and some IT equipment, cameras, and audio and projection at three of the schools.
We're also trying to make sure that all of the projection devices are available, and we have talked about using some of these funds to make sure that all of our schools have them. Our new schools, of course, they've been put into our new schools, but with Northeast Academy and Catherine Kolnowski, the vintage side of Fitch, or some more of Fitch, and Charles Barnum, I want to make sure that we have equal and equitable access for all of our students, no matter if they're in a new school or not. So,
and that's taken into account on this report. And I will say the target balance that we have on here of $1 million, and that's really it's kind of like if this went away, because there's no guarantee that we'll have the 19.5% military dependent population. If it went away, we'd want to be able to sustain the Chromebook initiative. And so the thought is that would be 3 years of refreshing on the Chromebooks.
Beverly?
Ken, so impact aid goes to the town, right?
Yeah.
That money goes to the town in lieu of property taxes that the military people don't pay. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's
okay. And the supplemental aid goes straight to the school district. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. Why do you think that in FY 2023 we're going to get substantially less, when I heard Susan say that we're going to get more military children into our school district with the new Columbia ships or subs? Sorry, they're not ships, subs coming in. So that 19% might increase. It's more hopeful that it will increase than decrease.
that's right.
Of course, when I listen to Susan speak.
Mhm.
Yeah,
we might
I
get more
will
than this
caution
200
that I'm sorry, were you done?
No, yeah, I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay. I will caution you that the amount has less to do with our percentage, because once we hit the 19.5, we're kind of in. I think it has more to do with the funding that is available to be split amongst the communities that are eligible. And so it's more about splitting the pot that's available. And I tried to get an idea of where that might be. That they gave me no indication whatsoever.
We
That's-
have seen
that's better.
stability around the $4 million versus the 3 million that we had earlier projected. So the past 4 years, it's come in more at 4 million. That's why we were able to make a newer prediction on what the town should expect. Because those extra $1 million went back to the town, but we're just not so sure how they were used. I think they were put in, do you remember what account they said?
The general fund.
A general fund.
Ken, the balance, do you invest that money? Is that how you earn an interest, or do you keep it in a savings account?
It's in an account that's able to earn interest. So not really invested, but it is in an interest-bearing account.
And how much interest are you getting on that account?
It's not a lot. I mean, interest rates are not that high. I think where we got about 2,000 last year. We're estimating this year around 2,600. We're estimating next year around 2,400. Maybe it'll be better if the interest rates go back up, but it's not very high interest rate.
Okay. All right, but there's a possibility that we might get more than this 280,000.
Oh yeah, certainly. And we're keeping our fingers crossed. It's kind of a conservative view of it. We could say it will be higher, but I'm always conservative. So
I count on Ken for his conservatism. He balances me.
Susan, you know your strong point, so right?
Yeah, I do.
That be one of your strong points.
But that's why I have a team.
Yeah. Thank you.
Jay,
I just wanted to make a comment. When I was listening to the RTM the other evening, there was a comment made that they were concerned that we had some kind of savings account. But what I want to mention is this money doesn't come in on July 1st, the way that the town budget is constructed. Ken can probably tell me, but basically the money comes in at odd times, and then we have to budget it for the long-term project of keeping the technology current.
Right.
And we are never sure exactly how much we're going to get. So I just want to dispel that idea that somehow there's this savings account that we're holding it. We're planning its use over time rather than spend all of it at once and then have all the technology expire at once. We're doing it over a period. And the funding, the inflows and the outflows are not in sync with the town budget cycle. And Ken can correct me if I'm wrong on any of that.
You're right. It actually all does come in at one time. It comes in sometime in the month of August, typically. It doesn't come in different amounts. Like impact aid comes in different amounts, but the supplemental all comes in one. My recommendation is that in the next year's budget book, we put a page in and we just show what we anticipate this to be used for. I agree. More transparency.
Yep.
So I think we can do that pretty easily.
Andrea?
I think I know the answer to this question, but I hope I'm wrong. And when we consider when the government considers the military community, does it ever consider EB as part of that?
So the workers at EB are actually included in the calculation of impact aid.
Oh.
So
if they serve on a submarine. So they have to be, I think they have to be on board working on a submarine for a designated period of time. That's a Jen DeBell.
Okay, well,
yes,
she knows the best.
Yeah,
but I think it's any federally impacted family, whether they live or work on a federally impacted location. So the tribe, of course, the sub base, and I thought that the EB may have been included, but I'll ask that question specifically.
Thank you. At least I wasn't all wrong. Sort of. Thank you.
I'm going to go to Rita and then to Beverly.
Yes. So my question, Ken, is if the DOD funds come in August, that would be before we would know the count for the new subs to be stationed here. Or will it be based on last October's?
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah, because
And-
they got the impact aid figures that we collected last year. Those go to the DOD and get paid to us in this August. Yeah, it's kind of a long cycle.
Right.
And remember, Congressman Courtney
Yes.
spearheaded the bill for the
Yeah.
past 2 years that have kept our numbers stable. So just a shout out.
Right, but what I wanted to know is we've reached that 19.5% last August. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
correct. Well, we were at 19 and a half as of the October numbers.
Right. So we would get the impact aid in August for last October's numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
But we may not get it in the future for the next year's budget.
Yeah, we just have to keep that number or not keep, but we're gonna have to hope that number stays above 19 and a half.
Right.
We need to encourage those families that are moving into Groton to stay with Groton.
Mm. Thank you.
Beverly?
Ken, I'm just wondering if this companies that are federal companies, do they pay taxes? I thought federal companies don't pay taxes.
I don't know,
To
you're
the
talking
town,
like
to the
like
town.
ED or something like that?
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm thinking that, I don't know, I'm thinking that a lot of the employees that work at EB that aren't working specifically at the sub base on the sub, that they probably, they don't qualify for the impact aid stuff.
We're going to find that answer out because
yeah.
there's some real specificity with all of this.
Yeah.
Bev, when I talked to Jen DeBell, I try to capture all that she's saying. She's really such an expert on this,
She's
Yeah,
been doing it for 10 years now, so she's our expert.
but we'll get back to you on that one.
okay. And when I was on the board in 1993, when we got impact aid, we always spent it on technology. That
So
was our
there you
thing.
go. It's a
We've
tradition.
been doing this since 1993.
That's
spending
wonderful.
Impact aid on technology.
The supplemental, Bev?
Yeah, whatever comes to the board, we spent on technology.
That's really good information to have. Thank you.
Yeah, there was a technology committee that actually had a whole plan and to, bring our schools up to date because we weren't up to date. And Beverly, but since that time, the DOD funds were always spent on technology.
Makes sense.
Mhm. It's good information.
Any other questions?
Nope, just thank you, Ken, for this information.
You're welcome.
And so we're going to move to the audit report.
All right, so this is the audit report for the year ended June 30, 2021. I'm going to throw it up on the screen here, and this is just an excerpt. This it's like a 200-page document. It's for the town and the board combined, or the entire town business. This page is in particular to the Board of Education. And you'll notice in the first couple columns, this is our budget, the 77,438,090. That was our budget in 2021. And then the next three columns kind of line out what was actually spent in 2021. I'll give you a little bit of what these two columns mean. Expended means it was paid and money went out the door, whether it was payroll or purchase of goods or services. And so that's the lion's share of the amount that was used for last year, 76,806,529. So at the end of August, when the auditors come in, they take a snapshot as of right then, what has actually been spent versus what has been encumbered. Encumbered means it's funds that have been put aside for typically purchases of goods that have not yet come in and finalized. So at the end of August of 2021, there was 629,145 of encumbered but not yet finalized funds. So those together is the total amount of 77,435. And so just 2417 under budget, which is that's really close. Okay, let me take that down. And so this is just there are other pages that talk about education in the report. That they leave it to accountants. They're a lot like lawyers. They like to make a bunch of different things just to confuse people, I think. But they give us our expenses from a budgetary perspective, from a accrued expense perspective, meaning they add in amounts that are not actually paid out by us, but paid out by the state. For instance, the TRB, the Teachers Retirement Board funds. Those are paid for by the state, but they get added into the report as if we paid them, just to show you what the cost if we had to carry those costs ourselves. And then they have a couple of other, they add in grants and food services, and then they add in the townwide government expenses. So they restated a number of times, but I think the most important page is the one that we just looked at, which really just outlines how we did against what we were budgeted with.
Woof.
That's a lot of data.
Yeah, you can read through that. It's available on the website, on the Town of Groton website. It's a good read if you look into beat insomnia, but it's actually very interesting. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to walk you through any of that.
Beverly, and then it looks like Rita.
Do the auditors give you any feedback as far as, how to budget a little better, or say you're doing a great job, or do they give you a rating or anything like that?
No, I mean, what they will do is if they find any anomalies or some issues, they will notate them in their beginning discussion. We strive to not have any of those types of issues. For this past audit, there weren't any, but no, there's not really a lot of feedback as from that perspective. No.
Thank you.
Ken, when you receive this information, are you included with the people who prepare this for you? I don't know which company they use.
Oh, so it's a company called CLA. They recently I forget their name previous.
Right, they've changed.
Yeah, they merge quite often.
Right.
But
are you in the room when they present this to the town?
No.
You're
I
not.
will say for the past couple of years, I don't think there was a presentation. It was really just a submission through email. We did have a Zoom call with them to ask any questions, but I don't know. Do they go to the town to report? I'm not too sure.
I don't know, but they not only come to the executive board, but the regular board meeting, and they give the whole budget book, and you go through it, and they talk about every little aspect. So I'm surprised that I'm sure they must, whoever you use, I'm sure they do that with the town. And I would like to hope that you would be part of this, since our budget is such a big part of the town's budget. But they'll be coming in August to you to go through this.
Yeah, well, we've had a pre-planning meeting. They'll probably do some initial work, field work next month, but then August and September they start in earnest, and then we have until the end of December to finalize.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's a tremendous amount of work for the business department. I know how much work that is for everyone there, and I really appreciate it. But I do feel that you should be included when the town hears of hears their results.
Yeah, what I will say is there may be a difference between us and Learn only because we're part of the town. So,
Yes, yes,
and we are the biggest expense.
Right.
But as you can see, there's really just one page for us. So
amazing.
they don't spend nearly as much time with us as they do at the town. They spend maybe 4 or 5 days, but they're at the town for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
so it's kind of a
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
welcome.
Sorry, Beverly.
Can you tell us exactly what an audit entails? Because I don't know that myself.
So they'll go through, they'll do a walkthrough of our different processes to make sure that we're following the process that we've laid out. And then they'll take samples. They'll take samples of payroll, take samples of accounts payable. Then they'll match them up. They'll make sure that that they match the records. And then follow up with any questions there. They're always checking to make sure that there's nothing that doesn't look right. So they'll look at different things. The auditors have a great knack for pulling out all the odd things that happen throughout the year, and so you get to relive them. But it's really a lot of sampling is a lot of what they do.
Thank you.
It actually helps us to identify any issues so we can fix them.
Yeah. You're
So,
right.
So you don't look at them as a nuisance. You look at them as they're helping you.
It's a necessary necessary part of the process. I
Right.
wouldn't call them evil either because they're good people.
Yeah.
It's just part of the process.
Who pays for the audit? The audit, does the town or the board, you split the fee?
We split the fee. We're with the town, so it's one fee that they give us, and then we split it with the town. We pay a portion and they pay a portion.
Thank you, Ken.
Great questions, Beverly. I appreciate that. Any other questions about the audit report? Ken, thank you for putting so much of the stuff together. This is really, I've actually feel like I understand things.
Oh,
So
awesome.
I appreciate your ability to simply explain the complexity of your job
Thank you.
for someone who has absolutely no financial sense. And guys, we're so our next piece is this is actually a holdover from Matthew, who it was part of his original 2 things, but he asked for it to be postponed because Matthew, you were not feeling well. And so as promised, excuse me, as promised, I was going to put it back on the agenda. And I know, Susan, you have prepared some things for knowledge about the summer program. So I usually defer to you, Susan, to kind of set the stage, but I'm wondering, would you like me to instead defer to Matthew, who has
well, actually, Phil has prepared. We've done it kind of together, but he's going to take this on since he's really, so, he's doing such a great job leading, teaching and learning.
sorry, Phil, I knew that. But that just didn't stay in
It's
my.
nice to be reminded though, right? You knew that. But really, and we can get to Matthew's questions, but I just wanted to briefly outline, all the opportunities that we have, because it's pretty exciting and everything's coming together. Some things have been finalized, others will be finalized soon. And I'll include this all in board notes this week with a nice description, and I'll even put in the links in the board notes where people can register. So if you want to forward it to people that are asking you questions, you'll have all the information. But some of these have been talked about before. We do have of course, our special education extended school year summer program that's running at Mystic River Magnet. Food Services will provide breakfast every day for those students. And that's through July, with our ABA program extending into August. We have a great flyer that I'll send out to you for our Summer Stars STEM Camp, which is open to all GPS students currently in grades K through 5. So it's a great STEM camp. Week 1 is the last week of June, and the second week runs right after the July 4th break, the week of July 5th through the 8th. And there's, like I said, a great flyer that I'll include and I'll send you that you can share with people as well. And that's happening at Charles Barnum. And food services will provide light snacks every day for that program that runs from 9 to 12 every day. At the Groton Middle School, there's also a STEAM camp, summer camp. That's beginning on that July 5th week for a 2-week session for session 1. And then session 2 is July 18th through the 28th. So throughout the month of July, we'll have kids at the middle school, again, from 9 to 12, and they'll get breakfast every day also. Fitch High School is going to run their regular education summer school from July 6th through August the 5th. Again, that's from 9 to 12 also. One thing that we're working to finalize now, which sort of just came up last week, is the Blues and Beyond summer program. For those of you who might be familiar with the program, it's been an interdisciplinary part of our grade 7 curriculum, where kids learn to connect social, cultural, and historical context of American music and connect that to American history. They learn all about music from the slave hymns up through, Beyonce and, Pearl Jam. So, I mean, they get to really explore their musical tastes, and see how it connects to history and how the different things, and really the cool part of it, of the program, and so I think some of you witnessed it, was a part of the final project is them composing their own songs with their own lyrics and having them played by professional musicians through this program. So they have a summer program, which we're just putting together and trying to finalize the dates, and I'll forward information out as that becomes more definite. Another great piece of information too, and I know Ernie has signed off, but our food services summer meal program, we're going to have 12 sites available to students 18 and under, with breakfast and lunch provided free of charge throughout the summer. Again, a schedule will be forthcoming with those locations and the times that those meals will be available.
I also think that at the camps and at the summer school, we do send a bag lunch home on their way on the bus. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll get all the updated information from Ernie too as to what's being provided. And I'll include that information. So we do have a lot going on, which is great. Our buildings will be filled with activity and kids learning, and everything's made to be fun. From what we saw last summer, the kids really had a great time as they were learning and with the activities that they had planned. So, and
I think like last year, we'll be also providing tutoring after the camp. And so families will be coming at all of the different sites, even at the rec camps at Thames River and NEA. So the places where a lot of students can walk, but we're also providing some bus transportation as well. So we're trying to get it across the district in many locations, the tutoring.
And I know that's part of probably what Matthew has been, inquiring about. And we're meeting with the math specialists on Friday and the literacy specialist on Thursday to determine identifying how we're going to identify different students that we think can benefit from this tutoring and reaching out to those families. So that should become clearer after those meetings at the end of this week. So again, that's a brief summary. Matthew, if you had some questions, or if anybody else had questions, obviously. And like I said, I'll try to provide a summary of what I just told you in board notes this week, so you have all the information.
And once things get finalized, that's going to go on our Facebook page.
We'll get it out on our Facebook page. We'll put it up on the website as well.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
I'm delighted to hear about the 12 sites. I actually got 2 phone calls in the last week about whether we would be doing a meals program. So maybe we can post them on the Groton community page and forum and all the NOANC and the other forums, so that we can multiply the communications. It's great. It's terrific.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as soon as we nail down the locations and times, we'll try to get it
It'll
out.
be on the Groton Public Schools website. It'll be on our Facebook page. People can take it and send it out. So the more information we get around town.
Yeah, that's terrific. I think Beverly has a hand up.
Yep. Thank you, Beverly.
Susan, do you have a limit to the number of students that can attend the camps?
Nope, we've always taken every single student that has signed up.
Oh,
So
good.
we really make sure that we have, many teachers have been involved in this program. Christy Post and Ben Moon will be running it this year. Christy did it last year. She did a superb job. And, we really are able, there's some families that will attend, all the camps we have. And the same is true at the Groton Middle School. And the thing about a camp is it's very instructional. It's very rigorous and relevant, but kids really think of it as fun and engaging. And it's kind of what you need more than anything during these times to really engage the kids.
Yeah.
And that layered on with the tutoring, which is more one-to-one or small group. Those two things really help us with the closing of the gap and giving kids what they need.
Do you take out of district kids, Susan?
No,
Or
we
only in
haven't done
district?
that. I think there have been a couple teachers who might bring their children along so they can run the camp and they go in. But other than that, it's really for Groton Public Schools students.
Okay. The summer food program, not the program at the camps, the ones on different sites.
Mhm.
Do you find you have a lot of waste or no?
I don't know. Is there any on here? I've been to those programs. I actually try to get around. We've actually passed out books and things at those sites. And I try to collaborate with the Parks and Rec as well to make sure that we have plenty of books, and they've carved out time during the summer camp for kids to read. And that's worked out really well, that collaboration. But I haven't heard about any food waste. It usually looks like kids going through the line are pretty excited about those wonderful meals.
Last year, I guess it was a drive-through, where this
Yeah.
year it'll be more congregate, where people will come in and sit and grab the lunches. So maybe we can track it a little bit better.
Yeah.
But we could talk to Ernie about that.
Do you have tables outside where they can sit, or they sit in their cars? If they
No, I
wanna-
think now we'll have our, the lunchrooms in the schools
Oh,
set up, and I think that's a good idea, Bev. I'm sure we'll explore outdoor seating as well, as long as the weather's nice.
okay.
We actually have had dinner meals prepared and offered, but not as many families have taken advantage of that. But I think it was at the middle school and the high school, and I'll follow up on that because that would be really nice for them to be able to bring home dinner as well.
New London, they have dinners, I think every second Wednesday, they have a dinner program and they charge $5, and anybody in the community can go. I think it's at Jennings School, and you
Mhm.
can go, you can either take out or you could sit in the cafeteria and eat. And the meals are excellent for $5. They are excellent meals.
And I think two towns or city agencies split the programming, like one does one month and the other month. Like I think it's through their Board of Ed or their New London Public Schools. And I think that their early childhood, I don't know what that's called, but the early childhood youth affairs do that too. So yeah, I've heard lots of good things about that, Beverly.
And our human services has also provided meals at the senior center and also at Thames River Magnet, I believe, for dinner. But I'll double check on that.
I'm going to recognize Rita.
So this is a question you can ask Ernie. I know when we have the recreation and we do at the different sites for our schools, he used to, if the kids did really well during the week, then they received they built up little coins or something. They were given these little rewards and they got to use it for fresh vegetables. that the farms would drop off like widows, and so that they could bring them home to their families on the weekend. So I was just wondering if they were still gonna be doing that. I just thought that was just wonderful.
Yeah, I'll check on that. That was that farm to school,
Farm to school, yeah.
and even at some of the farmers markets. They could
Yes,
use their-
yes, they
their
could bring
ticket.
them there to the farmer's market also. But I think all those sites that have our schools that we have the rec program out, the kids sit there and have their lunch.
That's right.
Yeah, it's just the ones that they walk through, like maybe at Washington Park or, you know, I mean, 12 sites is amazing. That's wonderful.
But when there's a summer program there, I see them sitting and eating. So they'll
Yeah,
walk through,
they
get their
s-
meal and sit down and eat
Right,
with their
there's
counselors.
so many lovely places to sit there.
Right.
Yeah, well, thank you.
There's not a way, there's not a lot of waste with our meals that Ernie serves.
That's true.
All right, Matthew, what's your question and what's your comments?
Okay, just one other meal location, Monday nights, the Groton Community Meals provides a full dinner at no cost at all at the Thrive 55. And I think they're hoping to expand to another location in a month or two, but I don't know that's a done deal yet, so we'll leave that one alone for now. So may I go on to the,
Yeah, it's really hard to hear you. Maybe it's just me.
well, I will try to speak a little bit louder. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay, I don't like shouting, but there you go. So in a moment, I'm going to propose an effort to extend Groton's educational boundary beyond our school buildings. But before that, and let me take an aside. I'm going to take 5 to 7 minutes to do this. Don't worry about taking notes. I'll forward this to everybody afterwards. But I've been working on this since February, and I'd really like to share it with the entire board. So please indulge me. I promise not to abuse this time frame very often. Before I propose the project, I want to be clear that our Groton School District is doing as much, if not more, than other districts to remedy COVID-induced academic achievement issues, social isolation, and emotional challenges that many of our children have suffered. So please don't take my proposal as a reproach of the various academic and support programs we've already launched. We've used our grant money well, hiring tutors, providing free lunches, reinforcing our social work and counseling services, and rebooting the mentoring program. And if you want to volunteer, please get in touch with us. We may not be able to fix everything. Your board's just human and subject to imperfections. But this board has left politics at the door. We all support Susan Austin in doing everything in our power to help the kids. Back in February, I proposed using some ARP-ESSER federal funds to expand tutoring directly into several low-resource neighborhoods. I did so in response to parental stories I heard as I went door to door last autumn. The challenges of a single dad trying to balance 3 part-time jobs and taking care of 3 elementary-age kids in a tiny apartment. He was grateful that Groton had provided the computers, remote and hybrid learning, but through nobody's fault, it wasn't enough. The guilty party was solely and uniquely the COVID virus. In my past life, I've seen the benefits of education extended beyond the classroom, getting into the neighborhood with the motto, go to where the people are, reaching and teaching where people live. And what I've seen is supported by research-based data. I'll spare you that now, but I have it available. So I propose we do a pilot program to supplement our already considerable tutoring directly to a cohort of our students whose academic and social education, social, emotional experience has been most severely felt. I initially focused in my mind on Branford Manor and Midway Circle neighborhoods because that's where I encountered our most economically fragile and structurally disadvantaged families. They clearly understand that education is their children's path to a secure future. Supplemental after-school, off-campus tutoring in their home neighborhood will help us close the educational achievement gap that was already present before COVID and may well have gotten larger since. But I've since come to ask myself, if Navy housing neighborhoods might not also be a potential target. I'm not convinced, just raising it. For clearly, being a child transferred from place to place during the pre-K to 12 spectrum, not to mention dealing with parents' extended deployment, brings its own set of challenges. When I brought this proposal to the board in February, I was told that state mandated budget deadlines were the priority. I was asked to bring this to the board later, that if the board concurred, that there was room to tweak the budget. This presentation is that occasion. Though not a financial guy, I prepared a discussion budget that represents less than 0.09% of our anticipated 2022-23 expenditures. COVID relief funds to schools can be used for instruction, technology, improving health and safety, to protect and help the current student body that's been affected by COVID. We're doing a better than excellent job in the schools. But I respectfully argue that providing 1, 2, or 3 after-school satellite tutoring sites in or in close proximity to the neighborhoods where student need is greatest represents the essence of what COVID relief funds are intended to accomplish. How many sites and where they're ultimately decided, if anywhere, is an administrative, not a board decision. Reaching out to those most deeply affected by COVID also coincides with Groton's lived commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Bringing after-school tutoring to where people live will speed recovery from academic losses, strengthen academic achievement, and social emotional learning. I acknowledge that not every reasonable idea is successful, that remote tutoring success depends both on parental buy-in and actual student participation. And I can't guarantee that this will work, which is why I propose a phased implementation and performance-based pilot project. If, repeat if, the board sees value in off-site tutoring, one of our first steps will be outreach to the selected neighborhoods to gauge parental interest. If there's insufficient interest, a metric to be discussed, there'll be no program. And if there is student parental interest, we cannot know in advance whether students will be interested in sufficient numbers or maintain initial interest over time. Accordingly, my discussion budget plans for the full academic year, but it seems prudent to consider it as a pilot program subject to discontinuation if performance does not match our hopes. In such a case, unexpended funds would be reincorporated into the general budget. My draft budget stipulates 2 scenarios. Two tutors per location for 3 hours after school for 2 days a week throughout the 36-week school year, to be tweaked as you wish, or 2 tutors per location for 3 hours, 3 days a week. I don't really know what's best. That's an administration decision. Staffing decisions will be based on administration's assessment on enrollment, attendance, and ongoing assessments of program efficacy. Based on posted wages for a part-time tutor, I looked online today on our website, is $26.50 an hour. So it works out that one site with 2 tutors, 2 days a week times 3 hours for 36 weeks would have an annual cost of $11,448 per location. And if we did 2 tutors for 3 days a week for the 36 weeks, it would come out to $17,000 per location. Actual staffing will be a function of enrollees and actual attendance, the rate of wages. This is for the lowest to the highest. If we had 1 location for 2 days a week, it's $11,500. 3 days a week, $17,172 for a single location. If we had all 3 locations that I am tossing out there for your consideration, if it's 2 days a week, the total cost of the wages would be $34,344, and for 3 days a week, $51,516. To this, we would need to add the FICA Social Security, supplemental insurance, any. We need to add supplies and snacks, and I put in 0 for space rental because I can think of several city, town, and town agency locations near these various places, which I think we could negotiate free rental. Yeah, maybe I'm optimistic, but I think we can do it. Using the highest figure of 51,516 and adding 25% to that to cover the indirect cost, that's another 13,000. We're just under 64,400. And even if I missed another 10,000, that ran cost to 75,000, and I certainly hope we won't, because I've tried to be conservative. Providing after-school tutoring to our low-resource neighborhood children and improving educational outcomes still represents less than the 9/100ths of 1% of our budget, targeted directly to those students most impacted economically, socially, and emotionally by the coronavirus. I've no illusion that this is a final product. It's simply a first pass discussion piece. And while there are no guarantees that this initiative will help us recover all of the educational, social, and emotional deficits among those most structurally fragile, our commitment to equity and inclusion begs our pursuing the educational and community ideals we espouse. Finally, we're at mid-May, but that still gives us 3 months to build the program for back to school rollout. Thank you very much for putting up with an overly long piece. Thank you.
Matthew, thank you for, I know that this has been something that has been part of your thought process the whole time you first started on the board when I first met you. So I'm glad that you finally got to talk and say your piece. Phil or Susan, I know that in my discussions with the two of you about tutoring, you have found that being in the actual school has been what you have found hopeful or helpful. How does that jive with what Matthew is suggesting? And I'm also looking for some board input as well.
Well, I feel like when we do our tutoring after school, we know our students, we have, direct access to their information. There is, you can have 2 tutors, but a child may be in chemistry at the high school. You might have another child taking English language arts at the middle school, a young child who has literacy intervention and needs, explicit teaching. And when we're doing it in our school with the teachers that are certified, that they know and they've worked with, I think that we're able to really make huge progress. We also make sure we have a bus ride home. Now, as you may know, the high school also has a Falcon Rise program that they do with the middle school, and a lot of our students will peer collaborate with each other, and that's another effective measure for tutoring. But I feel like there's so many different teachers with various certifications. So to be very specific with a student's need in a particular area and really zone in to that need, you make a lot of progress. Whereas if you just had a person who really didn't know them, maybe wasn't certified in a particular area where the child really needed the help, it could be a waste. But I would say that one of the things we are doing is Thames River. We can certainly host this summer, and it'll be kind of a trial, but kids can walk to Thames River for some tutoring. And, we're going to be talking to the math specialist and literacy specialist to really get that program moving. It was highly successful last year. We had an enormous amount of students who are participating after our camps, in the afternoons, along with the Parks and Rec program. Teachers were going into the schools where the Parks and Rec programs were. So we were really meeting the kids where they were this summer. And in the same way, we do that in our after school programs. We meet the students where they are. We make sure that we have highly qualified certified teachers who know the kids, working with them. So it's certainly something to contemplate, Matthew. I had talked to Mayor Keith Hendrick last year when we first received our RFSer. And he was trying to get someone who could really oversee a program in Branford Manor, but that kind of fell apart. I said I could provide the tutor if he could provide, the staff to kind of oversee and monitor it. But it was hard to find. We used to have a HES center there. It was hard to find space. So I think it fell apart because of the space issue and, trying to get the thing off the ground. But it was something certainly I was interested in as well, if we could have done that. I don't know that it would give kids more access, but I'm always interested in providing kids with better access to these things.
I'm going to recognize Beverly and Rita.
Susan, are you collecting any data on all this stuff that as far as the tutors are concerned? Are you collecting any data on that?
We did, after every camp, we actually send out a survey to parents and kids to collect the data. The same thing was true with the tutoring. It might be interesting though, Beverly, now that you mention it, to send it out prior to this to see what the interest level would be.
Are you collecting any data as far as if the students progressed from the tutoring?
Yes, we did collect all that data. We actually had the literacy specialist and math specialist overseeing the whole program so that they were able to see what the assessments were per child and be able to add that to their database so that when they went back, they were able to then really hit the ground running with those kids. Because really it's our literacy and math specialists who help with the SRBI process and the intervention. They, along with the principals, work very closely to oversee that the kids are making progress, whether it's during the summer or during the school year.
So there's no like pre-test and post-test. So say a student needs help in math, you don't pre-test and then post-test.
Oh no, there's assessments all along.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing running records in reading, they're doing writing prompts, they're doing math assessments. So they are assessing along the way.
And what qualifications do your tutors need to have?
Well, they really have to, we really look for our certified staff first to provide it, but we do have some tutors who are retired teachers and they helped out. And we also have some tutors that are college educated that have been working, in a tutoring role in either ELA or math, who also were able to do that. But they were our staff. So they would know the kids, they know the curriculum, and they know, they could work with these specialists to make sure we fine tune that instruction.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Rita and then Andrea.
I would like to thank Matthew so much for taking the time and putting this all together. And I'm looking forward to taking the time and reading it on my own. I remember at Westside, and when it was a middle school, the teachers ran a homework club after school. And which was extremely successful. I think, they did it on their own. It was a club for years, and the kids would stay after and they would help them where they could, assist them. And so, I would be very much open to Thames River Magnet School or Mystic River, whichever one, wanted to do a homework club. I think that would be a great use of funds, and to have teachers there to help students that might, be stuck on a little question, or maybe needed some help with their iPads when they're using their Chromebooks. So.
And one of the things I'd like to be able to share with the board this summer is to collect all the enrichment opportunities and tutoring opportunities that did happen after school this year, to make a chart so that you could really see and maybe get some feedback from the principals and the teachers on what we did do to see, what we want to do moving forward.
Right. But I'm thinking more of like an extended day to the school, so that the kids could feel that, they could stay there and do their homework. And if there was a question, there'd be somebody there, because a lot of these children go home and there's no one at home to help them with
So
their.
these are the after school enrichment and tutoring.
Well, I don't mean enrichment. I'm talking about just regular old everyday homework. that a student has that reinforces, what they've learned during the day. And if they have a question about that, because so many students go home to an empty home. So it's just a way to have someone, an adult that could assist them. So
I know
that's
at Groton Middle School through the grant that 21st Century Learning is basically doing a lot of that, right, Phil?
Yeah, and I think what got in our way this year, obviously, was we thought we were going to return back to normal circumstances, and we were not able to offer those because we didn't want to have groups of kids after school huddled together in the cafeteria or a classroom. So I'm assuming that we can build that right from the get-go next year, if everything goes, according to plan.
Thank you.
Andrea?
I too would like to thank Matthew for the richness of thought behind this. But looking at it from an administrative point of view, I'm not sure where those the gathering places would be. But I know that even when you leave a building as a principal, you need to have an individual with an O92, an administrative certification. And I don't hear anything. I can't even imagine how we would be able to protect students in those terms. And I'm not talking about protecting students from evil. I'm talking about things like you fall down the stairs, an accident happens. You have to have O92 coverage. So I appreciate the thought, the richness, as I said, but I'm not sure how legal that could be.
Liz, please.
I just had a quick thought, and because I'm listening, and I think it's a great idea. But is this something that would be better? And I'm just throwing this out because it just like popped into my head about through social services. Because they offer different things. Now, and you mentioned it, Susan, when you were talking about is for elementary and possibly middle school, this is something that's very doable. But when you get at the high school and you have chemistry, physics, calc 1, these types of things, that becomes a little bit more cumbersome. Not impossible, but cumbersome. So I think it's something that is got a really good value to it. And I'm thinking about, well, could we best serve through social services this type of an idea? Just an idea. Maybe not. But Matthew, great ideas, honestly. I'm just not sure how we would work it. That's my concern.
And I also liken back to, I think, Beverly, I don't know if this was truly what your point was, but this is what I got from it, was have we surveyed our families to know if they would use, if they would be able to use or commit to a service that was located closer to where they lived, where a child could possibly, they could walk their child to the service and back. I mean, I think before we, I love the idea. If it feels really transparent, it feels really about what we've been talking about, which is that we are part of the town, that the district is, that we service all of the kids. So what would that, do we have is there enough of an interest out there for families to do that? So or is there another way of taking, Matthew, some of your ideas and putting them already into the school, like after school program where kids could get that and then get a ride home? Possibly a snack or two as well.
All for snacks.
Liz. Quick question, Susan or Phil. Is Falcon Academy still running at Fitch High School?
Yes.
Okay, so Falcon Academy is a tutoring on-site tutoring service for students at the high school, and it's a drop-in thing. They don't even have to don't have to register or anything, but it's an on-site tutoring activity.
And they
avail-
expanded their services to the middle school students too.
So, I mean, that's really kind of cool.
Mhm.
But, and I hear what you're saying about being local in different areas. But I also share the concern that Andrea brought up about the administrative aspect of it. It is, that's something that would have to be addressed.
Beverly,
Yes, I was just gonna agree with what Andrea said. I think if we did something like what Matthew's suggesting, the tutoring, it should be in the school setting. And then we can give the teacher a stipend or whatever, because they probably want to get paid. I think the
Yes.
days of the teachers staying, and then don't shoot me because I'm saying this, the days of the teachers staying after school because they want to are long gone. And that's generally speaking, that's not for each and every teacher. So they probably want a stipend for doing that. And but in the school would be better than off-site.
Well, may I tell you what I heard and what I learned?
sure.
Thank you. There is no question that we are doing an excellent job as a district. That's not what's on the table. The question is, can we move towards perfection, even though we know we'll never get there? Where are there places where we could be better? What I heard were some very interesting comments. Maybe we have to unpack what I said. Maybe what I suggested would not work at all grade levels or at all of our 3 levels. Maybe it's something that we would just want to target elementary age kids. I'm not advocating, I'm just responding to you. I hadn't really thought about unpacking it. That might be a very good idea. With regard Andrea's site questions, the places that I had in mind included either a portion of the library or the old Fitch Middle School. One is town run, the other is a town agency. I did chat with Jennifer at the library as to whether it was even be something they would even conceivably consider. She said she'd love to visit with somebody from administration. There were some challenges in some past tutoring, but that was before she was there, but she'd be very happy to discuss it. I like the idea. Maybe it is a homework club rather than tutoring. I did not come here entrenched in a position. I came here looking to see if we could do a little bit better by our kids. Again, we're not doing nothing wrong. Can we do better? I was not aware that the homework club was going to be relaunched next year. I'm really thrilled to hear that. As far as would families use it, you'll see when you get the printout that I'll send to you all, the very first thing I said is, if the board thinks this might be worth doing, the very first activity is outreach to the families, to see what families would like to participate. This doesn't matter whether it's a good idea or not. If they don't want to participate, it's a waste of time and effort and money. So that would be the first thing. I think that's a very reasonable thing, Kim, that's obviously would have to be done. Otherwise, I will send this out to all of you. Appreciate your consideration. Maybe we could have a little follow-up discussion at our next time, if that's okay with you, Kim. And regardless of what you decide, I'm really grateful for having had the opportunity to share this with you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matthew. And so maybe in June, we can have a follow-up on that conversation, Matthew. Just I'm sure that Phil and Susan are pretty busy with all the end of the year activities, and probably need to have some time to be able to kind of chew on that. Okay.
So
Thank you.
I would be grateful for any additional feedback any board members or even any of our guests may have. My grandfather told me if I'm not careful, I might learn something.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Matthew. Before we get to the referral tracking, we were needing an update on the marching band, and I was hoping, Susan, that you could help us out with that.
Right. Well, last Monday, when it was brought to our attention publicly, I did say that the decision had already been made to make sure that the kids received credit for the marching band this year and going forward. I had gotten some information prior to the meeting and spoken with administration at the high school and really directed that this was what was to happen. I think in some of the communication that went home to families, there was some information on that communication that might not have been so accurate. So it caused, I think, some alarm. But from what I understood, and I've talked to Principal Kelleher, he was outreaching to every student and every family to ensure that those students who wanted the credit would receive it. And I think that in future, some next steps might be to bring it back with the curriculum to the board, to our own, curriculum committee. And one of the things that I did hear from administration at the high school is some kids don't opt in for the credit because it's at the college level and it could bring back down their GPA. But there is honors credit for other music areas. So I think that's something we really need to look at for the marching band and for the band. So I look forward to gathering that information and having Phil bring it to the curriculum committee so that we can just make sure that, this is not only credit, but credit that would, support a student instead of, bringing them back on their GPA.
Any other questions about that? Rita?
You're on
I
mute.
believe the letter that Principal Keller sent out to the families, it said, that they should go and talk to their guidance counselors about awarding the credit. So I think the concern was that we wanted to make sure that marching band would be, you would receive a credit if you wanted one, since it is an after school activity. And I think that has been communicated.
Right.
Anyway, it's just still sort of disheartening to me that this whole thing even occurred.
It was disheartening to me too.
I know it was.
So, but I'm glad that our students spoke up. I was really particularly proud of them in what they wrote. I mean, we're always
And the
teaching them
parents.
to share their voice and their parents.
Right.
So unfortunately, I had gotten the word and had thought I had communicated it very clearly, but re-communicated it. And I think we've set the course right.
Right. So I just hope it, we don't sort of get blindsided by anything like this with other courses that, that could come along. So, but I know
That's something Phil and I have talked about.
Yeah, I know you're on top of it.
We're trying to be, but sometimes, we have to have eyes in back of our heads.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrea?
And that's something that we're going to be reviewing on policy.
Yep.
Liz?
And in curriculum,
I was gonna say, and curriculum.
and in curriculum, it's on the agenda.
Thank you.
So I think some good came of that we realized that there is that issue about honors credit and or college level credit. And so I think it was able to expose something and we are moving forward. That's all that we care about, right? Is that we're moving forward. We got it resolved or at least have a direction. Rita?
Yeah. When we received that core study last COW meeting, and there was no one from Fitch High School there to discuss it. Is that going to happen at a future COW meeting?
So if I can answer that, Rita, The goal is that I have is to take one COW and really focus in. There's a lot of questions that people have had and a lot of topics that people have wanted discussed about the high school. So I thought that we would have it instead of piecemeal, let's have the staff come in, let's have, and let's get the information available to us so that we can have that topic. So absolutely. That's part of it, but I also do know, and Elizabeth, Liz, I hope I don't take your thunder, is that the course catalog is actually in curriculum as well. So it's also being evaluated as well. Is that correct, Liz?
Yes, I wanted to say that today was our first meeting and we started to evaluate and review and evaluate the program of studies as well as the documentation along with courses and the board approved curricula. So, you know, we have started that today. That's going to be an ongoing thing and because it's going to take a little time, but we are dedicated to this. So I wanted you to be aware of that. And I did ask for input and I received one comment and that, you know, if you still, you know, next week we have, next month we still have that will be on part of the agenda, but it's not going to be the focus because we have a couple of things we have to do, but it will always be there. So please forward your comments, questions, and concerns. And if there are corresponding page numbers, please do so. I mean, like I said, I received really one from a current board member that said, you know, go for it. But you know, if you have something, you got to tell us, please.
Yep. I'm going to recognize Beverly and then Rita.
So Kim, we'll discuss the program of courses at a COW, and the curriculum committee is doing it too.
Yeah, that sounds, I'm not quite sure then how to do that. I don't know whether I think that there's enough other things that people have wanted us to talk about, Bev, and maybe we'll take up the course, what is that booklet called? Sorry. Thank you.
Program of studies.
Thank you. Is that maybe we'll let the curriculum subcommittee be working on that for a while and then they can bring that back to the COW. That might make more sense.
The other thing the board has asked us to look at is the advanced classes, AP, IB, honors, and also career pathways is another one. And I'd love to share how those career pathways unfold from the middle school to the high school. So,
and class sizes and all that stuff. I mean, so I think that there's enough there that we can wait on the program of studies. I said it.
Will they be done? Will the curriculum committee be done by the end of the summer, or how long? If it's not going to be their main focus, is this going to drag out with that committee forever?
Well,
oh no. Beverly, can I respond to that? No, this is going to run through our meetings. I just said next month because we have a couple of curricula that need to be approved before we bring it to you for approval. We need to, you know, these are proposed courses and proposed programs that we need to get done so that they can move forward for the fall. So, but this is not something that's just going to be shelved and when we get to it. Oh no, this is an active part of our discussion.
And what's the end game for you looking through the program of studies?
What do you mean the end game? Where do
What's the purpose? What's the purpose of you doing all that?
Well, if I could, Liz, at least in my view, the
Go
end
for
game
it.
is to sort of clean up the inaccuracies and to clean up some of the what's been pointed out to us so far. You know, courses listed twice with different course descriptions, making sure that there's no classes in there that haven't been board approved or don't have board approved curriculum. So the end game is that by the time they roll around to start putting it together in November-ish next year, that they know that the rules are clear in terms of what can and can't be in there, and that it's been reviewed by me.
And us.
Through the committee, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That
Well,
sounds great.
we want it to be as accurate and as clear as possible. some
And
questions.
that may mean that we're gonna have to invite some of our high school people,
Mhm.
administrators,
Oh, of
so that
course.
they can look at it with us to help with clarification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I was just asking the question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good question.
Beverly, that's such a good question. Like, that was such a good clarifying question. Thank you. Rita?
So that was sort of what I was asking, but it's hard for me to give to the curriculum committee my questions until I hear from the high school. And we go over that program of studies with them, then I think I'd have more questions. But it's a little hard to come up with a question about it without hearing from the high school. And the second part is, Liz, I think you just said that we had curriculum to pass for courses that were supposed to be at the high school this fall?
One class that
Wow.
they've asked, it's a
Like
half
special
credit
permission?
class. Yes, they did.
Yeah,
And-
because we
yeah,
have a
because we have-
timeline.
Yes, we do. And we're adjusting that timeline. We're working with that timeline. We're making it more clear but this was one that has, through I don't remember the circumstances, but it's a half credit class on meteorology.
Okay,
And, all right, it's an elective. So, it kind of fell through the cracks this past summer. So we're trying to, massage back, but like we discussed today, there will be a definitive timeline that will also allow, things that sometimes these things happen during the school year and not just for summer. And so we want to be able to address the needs for the high school. But our biggest focus has been, one of the focuses is, nothing is in that course catalog or program of studies that's not got a board approved curriculum.
right.
And that's one of our messages.
I
And,
believe,
and then
course-
actually, that should be the focus.
right,
That is our job, is to have board approved curriculum. So I'm glad to hear about that. Also
but
feels,
we do, our timeline is still, I believe it's January or February, beginning of February, for new courses to be proposed to go into the course catalog for when it's put out, the program of studies in March. I believe it's handed out to the students. So there is a timeline. It's established, it's in print. So I don't know how it fell through the cracks, but
a lot of things fell through the cracks, Rita.
yeah.
It's called COVID.
Well,
And-
no, that's pretty clear. We've been going through that with curriculum for a few years now. And I think with Andrea, it was pretty understood. So I don't know, I'm just not sure how this one slipped through the cracks.
Andrea?
And that's what we're going to be looking at in policy. We're going to review the policies that address this. And if they need to be changed or rewritten, we're going to do that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
It feels like, you guys, we're getting back to the business of the board. Like we're taking a deep breath and we're doing the stuff that as a board we're supposed to be doing. I had that conversation with Susan after our last meeting, was that we were hearing from parents, we're hearing from kids. We asked for action to be taken, and we did it. And now we're looking through things and we're looking at stuff. And I just, it feels good to have that type of settling effect. It feels like we're becoming much more grounded. Nice work, board. If there's no further questions about that, we're now at the referral tracking. And then I would also say that we can blend the future topics as well. Andrea?
Kim, I don't know where this would go, but we really need to have a retreat. It's been so long that we've not gotten together and just kind of talked about things that need to be talked about. And, it's just in terms of a professional outlook, if nothing else. So I don't know if that goes on the referral list. If it does, I'm afraid it's going to die there. So maybe we should just think about that.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Thank you.
Liz?
Yeah, and Phil, I see that you just vanished from me here. Because we did add something to the referral list. Well, we made a recommendation. And I don't have the total verbiage here, Phil, so is this the place that we asked this to be put onto the referral list, Phil? Do you have it? Because
Let me-
my notes don't make sense to me. So,
Yep.
and we just did this at 6 o'clock. So I'm like, okay, I definitely needed food and coffee.
Yeah,
So,
let me just dig it up. So what are you looking for? Which
the
one?
review and something about the
Re-
program of studies.
Review and recommendations for the program of studies is how we worded it.
Yeah, and so that's what we wanted to put down as one of our, our referral tracking sheet with a status report due, it's going to be ongoing, but the first one is due June 13th.
That's going to be a lot based on the questions that we discussed today that were pointed out by the board members who reached out. So that's sort of where we started.
And we have a laundry list. I should say he has a laundry list.
Yes, I did walk away with quite the list of tasks, but I'll be ready for the 13th, no problem.
So, okay, so you want the review and recommendation of program of study? Is that what the referral?
Is that how we said it, Phil?
Yep, review and recommendations for the program of studies for Fitch High School is how
Okay.
we worded it.
Okay,
Thank you.
Beverly?
I think mine is more of a statement than a referral thing. It could be a referral.
Okay.
Okay. With the warmer weather here, a lot of the students will be, the coats will come off, the winter stuff's gonna come off. And I hope that the school, because I haven't heard complaints about this in high school, about the inappropriate dress of some of the students, mainly the girls at the high school. They're wearing, we have to make sure they're not wearing Daisy Duke shorts, if everybody knows what Daisy Dukes are, and that their boobs aren't hanging out and their stomachs aren't showing. So I hope the high school is really getting a handle on the dress code. And so our young men aren't distracted.
So I think it goes both ways for men and women, but they're on that and they're doing it in collaboration as a campus. So middle school and high school working together to make sure we're kind of uniform, not wearing uniforms, but we're in sync with one another.
Okay, no skin showing, right? Okay.
I think they've had lots of discussion about this.
Okay, and if the students come to school inappropriate dressed, what do you do about that, Susan?
So the nurse always provides, they have extra, shirts and t-shirts and things that they can just cover up.
Or they go home.
Or
Maybe
they can get it from home.
Or I think they're
Mom,
allowed to call home and a parent can
Yeah.
bring.
That's
Yes.
true. They can do that.
Okay. All right, so are you pretty confident that your staff at the middle school and high school has a firm grip on this?
I am, and I'll be doing my walkthroughs just to check. No, I'm
I think
kidding.
it's worth a reminder, given this time of year, definitely.
Yeah, it is worth the reminder. They're on it, though. They told me. So we'll be looking at that, Phil, when we meet with them next.
Okay, thank you.
That might be the first time Daisy Dukes has been said at a board meeting too, so I can appreciate the history here.
All right. Any other for referral tracking or for future topic? I see Andrea's leaning in. Hearing none.
Motion to adjourn.
So
Second, Jay.
Matthew, a second. All those in favor,
Sure.
please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? You're gone. Thank you, guys.
Very
Night, everyone.
productive and very efficient team.
Good
Yay.
night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.